Welcome to One Tired Teacher, episode 84, How to Add More Science into Your Online or Physical Classroom with Rene Heinrich. I'm excited today to have Renee on the show. She is a wealth of information. She is coming from the store of Science Schoolyard, so she does a lot of focusing on science. And she is very passionate about science. I love to talk to people that are passionate about the subject in which they are speaking. It's just inspiring and motivating, and it's exciting. So I hope that you will find that of value. Today we talk about specifically what it is like for elementary school teachers and how sometimes we have such a hard time really getting to those content areas. And science is so important. And Renee gives us some really, really good strategies to fit in some science time and hands-on. Hope to stick around.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Debery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Debery.
Hey, so like I said, I am excited to talk to Renee. She is a teacher and she owns the store Science Schoolyard, and she just has a lot to share with us when it comes to science and how we can really utilize all of the minutes that we have. And we even talk about some things that you can do online, which we know right now you may be focused or thinking about what you're going to do in a blended or hybrid type of learning situation. And she's just very helpful. I really am excited about today's interview. I met Renee when we did STEMCon 2020 together. We were two presenters from the conference, and it was amazing, amazing, amazing. I loved it. And then we are also presenting again together, not together, but at the same conference at Whole Teacher Eclecticon 20, which is a very exciting conference that's taking all the pieces of teaching and putting them together in one place. And yes, it's a lot. It's a lot of thinking. It's 60 sessions. That's incredible. But the good news is that you have access to this for a year. You have it for a whole year. So if you wanted to really focus on one piece of the teacher puzzle, like if you wanted to focus on science, there's science and STEM content there. And then or let's say you wanted to focus on technology, there's integration of technology. I'm doing a session on podcasting for in the classroom and using podcasts in your classroom. Very excited about that. There's going to be so many other technology integration pieces. Or let's say you were focusing on trying not to burn out from all the craziness. There's a section even on that. There's just everything that you can think of is together in this training. It is a huge value. You're also getting a freebie immediately, $125 worth of freebies from various presenters that you get immediately upon joining the course or joining the conference, I should say. And then I am giving away podcast exit tickets for digital learning. So you can assess students' listening comprehension, and you get those immediately if you buy through me, which I have linked in the show notes. And that link, in case you don't ever have a chance to get back to the show notes, because I know how sometimes that can happen, I'm going to share my bit.ly link with you so that you can try to remember it. It's bit.ly/WTE Debery. So bit.ly WTE Debery. You can grab that affiliate link and you can join Whole Teacher Eclecticon, and you will be simply amazed. And you're going to see just right now one of the presenters from the conference who's going to just knock your socks off. Let's get on with the show. I'm excited today to have Rene Heinrich here from Science Schoolyard, and we are going to be talking about how to fit science into your schedule, if it's in the classroom or it's online. So I'm very excited to have Rene. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm excited you're here.
It's one of those topics that ultimately people are always asking, how do you do it? How do you put just even 10 minutes of science into your day? I don't have a science program. I don't know what to do. So this is going to be exciting.
Yes, I agree because it's definitely, and I think it's for all grades. I mean, like elementary for sure, because even primary teachers that feel like they don't have a chance to do it because they're constantly focused on I've got to teach them to read, I've got to teach them to read, and which of course is essential, but at the same time it's just so necessary for them to still have this science experience. So before we start that, I want to share, because that's the exciting part, like how we met when we were doing STEMCon 2020, which was amazing.
It was.
And oh, so good. Oh, I loved it. It was so much fun and the energy in that group. And so we are excited to announce that we will be presenting in another
I
conference, and that is
know.
the whole Teacher Eclecticon 2020. And so it is going to be even bigger and even
It's
more
epic. It
amazing.
really is.
It
I just,
really is.
the first time around when we did STEMCon, it was like, oh my gosh, can I do this? Can I share what I know and what I love? And it was
Hmm.
so easy to do because, you're so
Yeah.
passionate about something, and people were so receptive because we as teachers are needing to figure out how to become better and better teachers, whether it be because of teacher effectiveness or because everything that we thought we knew about education is
Mhm.
changing now because
It's
it looks
changing.
different and we're all having
Mhm.
to learn something new. And so when we looked at how to um, figure out how to put whole teacher eclecticon together, it does need to be eclectic with a ton of different ideas
Yeah.
on how to move us forward into whatever our classroom is going to look like come fall.
I know, and especially at this time with what's going on in the world and feeling like we don't know exactly what we're going to go back to. Is it going to be blended learning? Are people going all the way back? I mean, my governor is like full capacity, all kids. I don't know how we're possibly going to do that. He has left it up to the school district. So our district is talking about a blended model, and then it's just and I think even if we all just went back tomorrow exactly the way, I don't think it's ever going to be exactly the same because of what we went through and what we learned with the integration of technology and some of the things that we can do. I think, and just knowing that we're in the 21st century, we have to like make some adjustments. So I'm excited about that part. And the whole teacher eclecticon, like the thing that drew me even more to it, because I'm like, okay, my main experience is primary, like is second grade. I did first grade some, and mainly second grade forever, for like, I don't know, 15, 16 years. And then I was a student sports specialist. I was a media specialist. I'm back in the media center next year. So I've worked with all ranges of kids. I had an enrichment group of fifth graders, and I did push in for remediation kind of things for fourth grade. So I have like an experience with in fact, I love the older kids. I was like scared of fifth graders until
That
I
was my
became a media.
favorite. They still are
Really? See, I
my
was
favorite.
so scared.
I
Yeah,
know, I
I
don't think
was
I'm supposed to say
scared.
that, but I teach kindergarten through fifth grade science and STEM,
Uh-huh.
and I get them all, every one of them, an hour a week,
Yes.
and the kindergartners scare me. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, the kindergartners are
I
yeah, they're brutal.
the
Believe me, I
idea.
think kindergarten teachers need to be making more money because I think that's like herding
Like,
cats.
I was
Like
just
that.
thinking, look at it. It's like, oh my gosh, they're here. I don't know what to do. You start sweating. But
Yes,
you
it's
can teach
yes.
science and STEM to kindergartners. So there's
Yes.
a technique to
You're
that as
right.
well.
But I feel like I had to wait till like October before I could teach them
They just come
anything.
in right
I'm like,
away.
we're going to do a read aloud. Come on over here and I'm going to get you
They
excited
come to
about
me at first week of
it.
school, sometimes the first day of school, and I'm like, welcome to science. This is what science is. And the teachers are like,
Oh.
see ya, bye. And I'm
Yeah, no,
especially
I know they're running
excited.
out the door. I agree, but I was afraid of kindergarten. I mean, fifth grade. I was afraid of kindergarten too, but fifth grade really scared me until I don't know, like a couple weeks in, and I'm like, oh my goodness, they totally get you on a different level. They're so much more fun. They can joke around back with you. I mean, my second graders could joke, but not like my fifth
Not the
graders.
same.
I had like a fifth grade lunch group that would come eat in the media center with me. Like
Oh,
I
fun.
was like in love. And even as a student sports specialist, when the fifth graders got in trouble in the beginning of the year, again, like I had that fear. And then I was like, wait a minute, these are kids.
The
And we
hardest
had the
part about
best conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the hardest part about science with fifth graders is you have to be prepared. You have to be
Oh,
ready.
yeah.
And I think that's the scariest part for teachers that already struggle with science
Mhm.
is that when you are with older kids, you have to have all your supplies ready, and you have to be,
Yeah.
and if something happens with your computer or the smart board or someone's iPad and you have to stop, you might be in trouble.
No,
So
you're right. I had a procedure, like I had a procedure in my classroom because that stuff happened. And I'm like, okay, I'm like we were having a technical difficulties. And then they automatically were like, all right. So they knew what to do because if not, I would like get stressed out. Cause I'm like, if they're going crazy while I'm trying to troubleshoot, like then I don't want to do it. Like that's how I would feel. I didn't want to do it if it was going to be like that
exactly.
because it was hard. But anyway, so we are excited about that conference. I will link to it in the show notes, and we hope you join us because it's going to be unbelievable. So, Renee, let's talk about how you fit science in. Like when teachers say, "I don't have time to do science," like what do you do? What do you say?
Sure. I have a group, Surviving K-5 Science, and one of the things that they have to do before they come into the group is tell me, what is your struggle in science? And what I see over and over again is I have no time. I don't know what to do because I have reading and I have math, and I have to get my writing in, I have to get my spelling in. And part of it is our districts have set it up where we have that as our main focus. And so to
Mhm.
find 10 minutes, sometimes it's hard. So I like to tell teachers, and some of the tips that I give them in case anyone wanted to join, is to find ways that you already have just 10 minutes, whether that be in, I'll always suggest a reading center if you're really struggling, is to put a nonfiction book out that has to do with science. Epic Books is great because it's free for teachers to have that as a station, or to have a little tiny experiment with a little, this is the first step, second step, third step, maybe a little tiny foldable book that they can look at, and have that as a station. So, at least they're getting that little tiny bit of time to be
Yes.
able to say, hey, I understand a scientific process in some way, or I understand a concept in some way. That is the first go-to if you're really struggling just finding a time for you to just have a science class. The other thing I would say is I like to do what I found this time around with virtual and distance learning is that if I did flipped lessons and I was able to video record myself and then be able to put that on, we use Flipgrid now. Honestly, I had not heard of
Ah,
Flipgrid until
love
this
Flipgrid.
morning. And it's
Uh-huh.
I go to our team of music, FIED, art, and library media and science. We're going to be using that for whatever it looks like when we come back, because it really allowed us to be able to record a video or share some type of even a video from YouTube. And we put
Mhm.
that in there, and then we write a little lesson up. Kindergarten through fifth grade loved it and used it perfectly once we kind of taught them how to do that.
Mhm.
And it didn't take so long. It's free anyway. And
Yes.
we were able to put our lessons in Flipgrid, and the kids could respond to it real quickly. And the best thing about it is you don't even have to come up with your own science lessons. They actually have a library of like thousands
Wow.
of,
Oh, I
of
didn't know that. Wow, that's
the
cool.
disco library, and you can go to the disco library and you can find something on your topic and you can tweak it. It literally automatically puts it into your topics from your grid. And
Mhm.
even if you didn't use is Flipgrid for just science, you can use it for reading, math. You can have each little
Mhm.
classroom, science as one of them, and the kids can use it. It attaches to Seesaw, which is another great way to put a little science activity in. You can put
Mhm.
a video in Seesaw as well. So utilize the technology tools that you already have been using and put something in there, whether it be it's something they do at home, or at school. But I do have to really remind everyone, because I think this is what we got so excited. We got Flipgrid and we've got all these activities we can do. We really needed to hone our lessons into about 15 minutes of science
Mhm.
for them
Mhm.
a week, because it was so overloaded with,
Overwhelming. Mhm.
yeah, and we can't do that for parents. And so the suggestion I would have, whether we go virtual again,
Mhm.
or in the class, we need to remember that our kiddos are really going to struggle with not having every minute have to be
Mhm.
something where we're playing catch up. And so
Yeah.
I think science is a great way for us to kind of step back and take a breath and find a way to add it. Google Slides, Boom Learning
Yeah.
Decks, great way to add just a little bit of science in to get
Mhm.
kids excited in a game format. I use QR codes all the time, and
Uh-huh.
if a teacher wanted to put QR codes around the room and be able to just have a little science question or have it scan to a video or scan to a book and have that be your center. Or I use it for vocabulary where the kids are going around and they try to figure out what word describes the definition, and then they write
Uh-huh.
it down and then they check the answer. And that's a really great way for just a
Oh, that's
few
cool.
quick minutes. We call that Write the Room, for them
Uh-huh.
to come up with learning science in just a small smidget of time. And honestly, if I were suggesting, if you don't have science lessons, and a lot of people that are signing up are saying, we have no science program. Your
Mhm.
reading materials, we have Wonders at our school, and which is McGraw-Hill.
Yep.
There are a ton of science lessons that connect to your stories, and it tells you what page, what you can do with them. The lessons are in there. So that's one starting point. The other
Okay.
place I would tell teachers to go is the NGSS Hub, which is the a plethora of free sites or
Mhm.
lessons that have everything you need, have what you say, what you need to do. And I also go to BBC Bite Size. Oh my
Okay.
gosh. They have simulations, they have videos, they have games. It's amazing. And
So
so
it's say it again. It's BBS.
it's like in
BBS. Okay.
England, yeah, BBC,
Oh, okay. Mhm.
right? And then Bite Size.
BBC.
Perfect,
Okay.
perfect for just really, really top-notch lessons in science.
Like concise lessons and stuff. That's crazy. I didn't okay.
Absolutely.
So first of all, like there's like I have like 25 questions. Are you at a stopping point so I can ask you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm like, wait a minute.
How much
There's
time
so
do I
many
have?
things.
I
All right,
want
my first yeah. the the Flipgrid, like because
right.
I talked about Flipgrid. I did two podcast episodes on Flipgrid because I think Flipgrid is so cool.
It's amazing.
Do you have your classes set up like you know how you make the individual grids? Do you
Mhm.
have it like for a grade level, or do you have like this is just the science? Like
Oh,
how do
good
you do your
question.
grid?
So our music teacher actually did it where it was just K2 3
Mhm.
5. Our
Okay.
librarian did the whole thing, like here it is for all of you, because she could do
Uh-huh.
that. I did it. I have two schools. I have an urban school and I have the country school in our town. And I set it
Mhm.
up kindergarten at this school, kindergarten at that school, first grade at this school, first grade at that
Okay.
school. It was very, very easily set up that
Yeah,
way. I
it's
felt like
easy
it,
to make it. Yeah.
and the best part is their name is on it because they have to have a Google account or Microsoft account.
Mhm.
And so I didn't
Mhm.
have to guess who it was. I could see immediately their name and I could go right to
Mhm.
my grade book and record what they did. And then with Flipgrid, for science, I could use the rubric and I could grade them right away. So when I
Uh-huh.
get back, I'm going to be using some of the videos that I did have that I actually marked as
Yeah.
our lessons and say this is a good answer, and what makes this a good answer in science. Why is this
Mhm.
really in depth? Why is this a 4? And I have some that will be a 3, a 2, and a 1, so students can
Mhm.
see when you say, hey, look at my cat, and you're asking them to explain an open and closed circuit, that's a
Mhm.
1.
Yeah.
It's still showing up
Yeah.
though.
Yes, thank you for that, Cat, but that's not yeah, an open or closed circuit. Okay, so the video so when do the students watch the video? Like, if you're doing it as a
Right.
flipped, are they doing it, like, on their own time at home? Are they doing it and what does that look like in the classroom and, from a distance?
Well, let's talk about the different ways that we may potentially go back because we've had to think about this. Right after
Mhm,
this, I'm actually going to a science teacher's house, and we're going to be kind of working on what it could look like next year with some of our science experiments because we know
mhm,
that we're going to have to come up with hands-on activities
mhm,
that might be individualized or have to be taken home. So I'll talk
mhm,
about that later. But one of the things that we talked about with Flipgrid is how we can video a flipped lesson. I do the lesson and then I put it
mhm,
on there, and that could just be their lesson. And
Okay.
that's how I would, hey, today we're going to be learning about insects, kids. Insects have 3 parts and 6 legs. And then I'm going to have you go outside and I'm going to have you take a picture of an insect. And I want you to put that picture of the insect in Flipgrid so we can share and we can see
Uh-huh.
whether or not you actually found an insect. We're going to have to identify it by its characteristics. So that
Uh-huh.
might be a way I could video myself and have them come to a lesson. That might be
Okay.
one way you use Flipgrid, where you pre-record your lesson so that if you can't fit it in when you are at your Google Meet, when they're joining
Mm-hmm.
you and
Mm-hmm.
you're, oh my gosh, I need to add science and I just got done with my reading and the kids are done get with the meet. What can I do?
Mm-hmm.
They can go then and go, now you're going to go to Flipgrid and you're going to do your Flipgrid assignments. And that might be
Okay.
one way. The next way that we talked about doing, and this is what we'll be working on next year, is whatever it looks like. We may have an A-B schedule where some
Mm-hmm.
kids are at school and
Yes.
they're at home.
We talked about
So,
that. Mhm.
right. And so I may be doing a live and then video recording my live and then having kids be able to go back to it. The
Mhm.
other thing we might do is piggyback off a classroom teacher where if the classroom teacher is doing a lesson on reading, it's 8 o'clock, I'm coming in and now I'm going to do the 10-minute science lesson and I'm going to do
Yeah.
it live and then they'll go to Flipgrid. We could do, there's so many different ways to use Flipgrid. You could have the lesson on Flipgrid and then when they come back to class that next time, you say to them, you know, you watched the Flipgrid video. Remember, it was about this, this, and this. We
Mhm.
learned about open and closed circuits. Now I want to see what you know by building it. And if I only have half the class, I may have the circuits and the parts
Yes.
there and they build it themselves. So it's
Okay.
pre-teaching them so that they
Yes.
know what to
Okay.
do when they come in.
So
And
like it is a like a genuine like flipped
right,
classroom model. What do you
right.
think
It
about?
depends
Do
on
you think
how, right,
yeah, how you come back?
right.
Do you think kids are that's the thing that I question. Like will kids actually watch it at home?
Oh, I've got a trick for that one. So part
Okay.
of it is the kids want to do the hands-on, don't they? So if they
Yes.
don't watch my flip grid and it is the true flipped lesson because we don't know what it's going to look like. If it's a
Mhm.
true flipped lesson, I am actually going to say, I'm going to have a question, a built-in question somewhere in that video where
Mhm.
they need to know the answer. And if they come in not knowing, they are going to go to a separate area and they're going to rewatch. They have headphones and they're going to rewatch
Okay.
my video while the other kids are working on the fun stuff. And they're going to
Yeah.
miss out on that because really that's what we need to do. We need to pre-teach so we are utilizing every second of our time to do the
Hands
hands
on.
to do the
Yeah.
assessments if we need to. And that's what flipped lessons would really look like. So I am going to hold my kiddos accountable. They're not quite sure what flipped lessons are yet because we just started working on those.
Yes.
We
No, I
lost.
love that. I think that's a great idea because then they're motivated because they're ready
Right.
to come in and do the fun part.
I
But
think it's good
will
and
you
bad
have
times.
devices at school? I mean, like that's what we keep talking about. We're like, okay, if we let the kids have all of our devices at home, because right now our county, everyone still has they still have their device from
Ours do
school.
not.
So
So
like
we collected
you do
ours.
not, yeah, we do not, only have fifth grades collected. So like we
Oh,
have
sure.
some, but obviously we're going to get more kids. So those probably will be gone again. And the question is like, will we have devices at school as well if we're going to allow them to go home? So
Right.
what do you do in that case?
You know, we are very fortunate at our school in our district. We are one-to-one with iPads, and we do
Oh,
have
that's awesome.
parts. So I
Mhm.
really could see if they didn't have their iPad that I have my own iPad, but I also have some Chromebooks that I really do use in the classroom. I would
Mhm.
have them go to a table and I would have them all set up and use their
Okay.
Gmail account because Flipgrid is so easy. They just know their email now because of what we've just
Yeah.
been through. And
Yes.
it's automatic, so they know how to get there. And we actually have a little button on their iPad that goes right to Flipgrid. They just have to press the button. So,
Oh
oh,
yeah, that's great.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it forces them to, it goes right to it. But I foresee having Chromebooks in the room and having them go to that spot. And if they're out of Chromebooks and we have to be 6 feet apart, then gosh,
Mhm.
you're going to need to find another time. And if you still can't answer that question, we'll work on it on your, I think I don't like to take recess away, but I think we just have to train kids to be responsible. And I think if
Yes.
out of anything, out of distance learning, we have kiddos that didn't have to be responsible. And so we
Yeah.
are actually going in to the next year with Leader in Me as our
Mhm.
book that we.
Oh, yes. I love that.
And we're starting back, and we need our first real big goal is to teach responsibility. And what
Mhm.
happens when we get to a roadblock? And we've all like, hey, positive growth mindset. And we've done this for years at our school. And then we have these kids like, I can't do it. So I'm not going to do science today, Mrs. Steiner, because I can't get it. I don't know. And nope. Remember, in science, we have to do a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. And sometimes it
Uh-huh.
doesn't work. And you need to approach that the same way with a new lesson in science. When you don't understand something and
Yes.
you're by yourself, don't forget those skills we taught you. And I think that's what we're
Yeah.
going to have to do when we get back is reteach how to persevere, how to be resilient.
Yes. Yes, I agree. I totally agree. I think that makes total
You can
sense.
use science.
All right,
Don't let
that's
you.
yeah, I love that. So, okay, something else that you said that really like struck, like really hit me, is not even like, and this is, I'm so guilty of this. I always think if I can't do it in this elaborate whatever way,
Mm.
then I don't have time. But when you said that about it can be a small, even a very small thing, like that's still allowing them to be exposed to science, which I think is really, I think that's really important. I think that's a huge thing to remember. It doesn't have to be this elaborate hands-on, half an
With
hour,
all the
45 minutes,
pieces
hour lesson.
with all the supplies in it, like I do,
Mhm.
I have an hour to
You
do
have
that.
to be prepared.
Right.
Yeah,
And I
that's
have
the
to have
thing.
time to prepare. And I think that's the hardest part. We are using our prep time to, put these things together. I do suggest that if somebody really did want to use an elaborate lesson, you
Mhm.
start bagging. I Ziploc bag all of my lessons. So when I have
Mhm.
it in a box, I have them in my FOSS box. I
Uh-huh.
literally pull out the plastic bag that's labeled with what lesson it is, and all the supplies are in there. I can just put the individual baggies in a kit. So when I get back, I will have like
That's
pretty
awesome.
much everything ready to go for
Mhm.
our different units because they're all individually bagged, and
They're
I
all
can
in the back.
pass to
Yeah.
every student a bag. Now the problem is now how do we clean them? And so
Mhm.
there's all of these other things going on.
Oh,
So
yeah. I
we're
didn't
gonna,
think of that.
I'm gonna be cleaning them with, I'm thinking whatever our district is expecting me to clean it with.
Uh-huh.
But leaving it out and, doing the 24 hours or I even thought about this with science. And maybe this is a thought for going into it, depending upon how far away our kiddos can be. We may have to, and I thought, is this kind of like what we're doing? One person would be the demonstrator. Look, I'm on a show and look at
Mm.
I'm demonstrating and you're the videographer and you're asking questions and videoing me. So we'll swap spots the next time we do a science
Yes.
lesson. So if you don't have enough supplies, one
Uh-huh.
person's actually doing it, the other person's watching and learning from the other person.
Mhm.
And that's another way to maybe do it next year as
To
well.
do less, yeah, to use less materials, but to
Right.
also have the other student having a role because like
Right.
videotaping it or something like that is, yeah, that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea.
I just want to again go back to what you said. If you are doing 5 minutes of science, whether that be in a reading station, whether it be a QR code, whether it be a Google slide, a boom deck,
Mhm.
them watching a flip grid, it's 5 minutes that they didn't have of science. And
Yes, I agree.
honestly, the expectation when they're in middle school is that they have to know these things. And when they get
Yes.
on high school and they're in biology and chemistry and they've had no science in elementary
Yes.
school, we are doing a disservice to students. And so you have to be reflective in our own way. We have to be self-reflective and say, I need to do better. What can I do? Even if
I
it's I
agree.
did nothing to now I'm doing
Yeah.
10 minutes, that's better than doing nothing.
That's better than doing nothing. I agree. I a couple, no, not a couple, it was like many years ago, I created, because I felt the same way. I'm like, I'm not getting to science. This is before I did a platoon model where I did feel like I got to science. But for a while, I wasn't feeling that way. So I ended up writing, like I took because we have the curriculum, or like a science curriculum. We were not using next generation science standards, which I don't think we still are in Florida, which is mind blowing. But anyway, so I took the science standards. I wrote like informational like passages and with questions based on informational text standards, and that is what I was. And like I did it during like reading workshop because, and sometimes and then I got to take my, 20 minutes of science time and actually do something hands-on, but I actually integrated it. So it was like passages with questions,
That's
specifically
perfect.
meeting the standards of informational text that I had to teach anyway. So I was like, instead of having a random informational textbook on, I don't know, like penguins or something that I don't have to do.
Right.
Actually, we do habitats, but you know what I mean? So I
Right.
pick some random thing on bears, and then I'm not actually like, I decided I'm like, I'm going to use science. I'm going to create science because I couldn't find it on the level that I needed for my
Right.
students. So I wrote it myself. I'm like, I'll just write it myself. And
It's
then
really easy to go to. NGSS science standards are out there in every grade
yes,
level. You just have
and
to
every
Google
grade.
them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's that. So if you don't have a science curriculum, which I can't imagine a state not having a science
There
curriculum,
are lots
but
of people that
that
write
is
that they do
mind blowing.
have a science kit or a science program. A lots
Yeah,
of
and see, that's unbelievable. So yes, next generation science standards, go to that. Like start somewhere. Like start
right,
somewhere because we're falling behind. Like we're
right.
lacking in that area. And I agree. We have to start somewhere, even if it is only 5 minutes of
And the
science.
thing is, weirdly enough, our fourth graders in our state in Wisconsin here, we are tested. And so we
Yeah,
have
we are
to be held
too. We're
accountable
tested in
to do
fifth
that
grade.
if
Yeah.
you're held to a test and standards.
Mhm.
And they reflect on it and say, oh, this is what I obviously didn't understand. What do we need to fit in?
Yeah, what do we
We,
need to do? But I feel like our science test is more of a reading test. It feels like more of a reading test than it does an actual science test. I mean, obviously, even if you said it was a reading test, if they don't have any background knowledge because they haven't been
right.
exposed to any
That's
of
what I was
that,
just going to say.
yeah, it's so much harder for them than it would be if they had even 5 minutes every
Right.
day or whatever in their classroom. Now, what do you say about that? Like, how often do you say to fit science in the week? Would you tell
Well,
like a regular teacher to do? I mean, a
right.
general ed teacher.
And that's for me, it's different because I have our school, every student in our school has 1 hour a week. That's not enough,
Mhm.
but it does
Yeah.
enough because I am exactly targeting a certain standard every single week. I'm able to
Mhm.
hit a standard and refocus on that. And I know exactly what standard I have to target. So
Mhm.
that is key for me to know that I have fit for the kids in kindergarten through fifth grade a standard
Yes,
every
a
single week.
standard. But
And,
are
and
you doing next generation? Are you doing next
Wisconsin
generation
has
science?
state standards that are based on NGSS. So
Okay.
they're almost one and the same. We have like invasive species in Wisconsin that we do have to teach
Okay.
that is not part of NGSS, but is part of what we have to make sure we teach in Wisconsin. So we make sure in second grade when we do our plant unit, we fit that in. But
Okay. Well, that
how
makes sense. I was asking that because in Florida we have like there's like nine nine areas, and in NGSS it's gotten so like they wanted you to go deeper in the
right,
subject, so it wasn't as many, which I was like, that's so much better because I feel like I'm just doing this teeny tiny whatever in my state. So that's why I was asking
right. And
what
so I go back
it
to,
was.
where do you fit it in? You could, sometimes when you have like that 10-minute gap of time between one class and another, or if you were to use it in a reading way, then right after they're done with the reading activity, you take the next few minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, if that's all you have, and you do the
Mhm.
activity that goes with the reading assignment, or you target that like you said, take an NGSS, one of those components
Mhm.
and standards, and then teach that in your writing, and then do an activity with
Yeah.
it right
Do an
after.
activity.
So even if you
Yes.
piggyback it, that's at least a good way to do it. Now, if you have a science curriculum and you're using your science curriculum, really, if you can't cover all of it or you are struggling to do it, pick something that is the deepest one you can, so you're covering as many
Yes.
concepts as you can, or as many standards as you can, and really make sure you do that one well. And so some people, and I know some districts will do 1 week of science, and then next week they'll do a social studies lesson, and then the next week they do a science lesson.
Uh-huh.
Even if you're doing one a week and you have a gap of a half an hour, it's like I said, any way you can fit it in. And
I
so
think so too. I think it's crucial. I didn't do it like every other day. Like that to me seemed like disconnected. That's what they told us to do. But
right.
I'm not a very good rule follower. So I would do,
I know.
I
I
just
do
am not.
cough and then I
I'm
like
like, I'm
pump
sorry.
them here and I
Yeah,
shove
it's
the
not going to work. Yeah, I'm
bottom.
like, I'm going to do this. Like, I want to do it cohesive. I want it to be cohesive. So I would do like half, a little bit more than half the quarter I would spend on science, and then the other part of the quarter I'd spend on
I know
social
people
studies.
do that too, right?
Because I still ended up with a grade. I'm like, okay, I can still give them a grade, but I'm sorry, like I'm not going to do every other day. Like it feels disjointed to me.
Right.
But I mean, obviously you got to do what you have to do. I like what you said about having like it all together in like baggies and like these are materials for this. What do you, so today you said you're going to work on
Mhm.
like things that they can take home. Like
Right.
what kinds of things to take home?
Oh
That
my
sounds cool.
gosh. I went on a field trip last week. My girlfriend and I that I'm meeting with, what we called a rock quarry last week. And I'm like,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
excited. And I'm not quite sure what next year's going to look like. And we need rocks for our students and bags because we need them.
Oh,
I have buckets. He was the most amazing, generous man. He's like, come out to the quarry and you just bring your buckets
I
and
have the chills.
it was so fun. And we're like, look at this one. Look at this one. It was so
That's
exciting.
so cool.
And we have buckets of rocks, and we are bagging up little Ziploc bags. And the thing
I
is,
love that. I
it
used to do a rock study in second grade, and that was like one of my favorite. The kids
was
love that. And
yeah,
I love how cool. I had a rock collection for a really long time.
it's
So I
awesome.
think that is so cool. So
So
rock query.
we're
Okay,
gonna
keep
do what
going.
we're gonna
Sorry.
do with them. And again, you go to the lake, pick your rocks out. Now the kids only need, 8 rocks. And you can
Uh-huh.
have like our first graders do pebble, sand, and silt for FOSS. And we're gonna give them their own little individual bags, and they're gonna be able to deal with properties. So what sizes are different, what colors, what shapes,
Uh-huh.
all texture. And so they can do it with their little bag of rocks. Now, if we want them to keep them, it's okay. We have a connection out. But if they can't, we can bleach them and we can take them
Yes.
back and
Yes.
we can use them again. And so that's one way. We also got big buckets of sand, and he had these, oh my gosh, he had these black rocks. I don't, it was
Wow.
like, what? Like where
Yeah.
he had little tiny black rocks, and then he had the pebbles, and then the gravel part of it, and the sand. And again, that's another lesson. So we scoop that out, and the kids can sift it. And if
Yeah,
they
that's
don't have
cool.
sifters, they can put it down on the table and look at the different sizes.
Yeah.
Even the
Yeah.
hand ones. So
And
we
they
also
probably have one of those strainer things or one of those, you know
yes,
what I mean? Like
we have
in
those
their kitchen.
from our kit, yeah,
Yeah,
in
they could use that.
so, part of it is a matter of like, what can you use? Like, we're going to do a sound. Our next one that we're developing is
Mhm.
we have sound, and how can you have something in a baggie for sound? We're going to do the duck call, and we're going to do, what else can you put in there for sound? Different properties for sound discrimination, so they can do like a drop in on a table, and then they can actually do it on Flipgrid, where they can say, is this sound? This is the sound source. Listen, clink, and then go, oh, that was a penny. Or so we can put those things in a bag
That's
and send
cool.
those home. And we're making like a sheet. I'm going to put it on Science Schoolyard, but
I was going to
work
say,
that
yeah, because
um,
I was just going to say, if you have that kind of stuff
right.
in your store, I'm linking to that as well.
We're working on it this summer because we thought we have to do things differently. And so it's a matter of taking our FOSS kits and figuring out like, what can I send home with them? I figured
Mhm.
brown paper bags I can use. And if they need to recycle them and throw them away, I'm not hurting the landfills.
Mhm.
So we're using paper bags for the most part, and they're pretty cheap. But we're
Mhm.
going to be, I'm trying to think of, we have air and we have matter. So we are doing like the little vial activity. We're not sending vials home, but we have cups that we're giving them for the little
Mhm.
activity where, hey, air takes up space, air is matter. We're going to send feathers. We're going to do some of the same activities that we normally do with our FOSS lesson, but we're just going to
Uh-huh.
give them the bags. Even cutting up little pieces of crepe paper, it's $1 at the dollar store. It will make
Yes.
hundreds of bags for us.
Hundreds. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's how can you rethink what you have already done maybe in your kits, and how can
Uh-huh.
you send it home, or how can you say, hey, at home, find this, and then have a little activity book that they can easily follow 1, 2, 3. Hey, once again, put your little lesson in Flipgrid, and they can
Uh-huh.
watch you do it, watch you demonstrate it, and then they do it with you. Or you say,
Yeah.
now what's going to happen now that we started this? Test it. Share what you did. and
Yeah.
hear what you found out. And then they Flipgrid, they actually video that, and then that's your assessment.
I
So
love that.
that's how we're
That's
moving
so cool.
forward.
And then they can reply to each other's like responses too. I think that's really cool too.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can
Ah,
star it. You can star that video and say, all right, kids, send them an email, or even, write that to them, because you can email your kiddos and say,
mhm.
you have to check out Johnny's and tell me 3 things that you can learn from Johnny about his rocks. You can do
That's
that where,
awesome.
you're
Mhm.
communicating that way too.
Ah, I love that. This is so good. This is such good information. I think this is going to be really helpful for people. Is this like, will your session at Whole Teacher Eclecticon, do you
Oh
talk?
yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have both of my classes that I'm doing have to do with how, we've gone into this new part of our lives. I'm doing
Yeah.
Flipgrid, and I'm doing. It ended up being like 45 minutes because there's so much deep stuff in
So much.
and how
Yeah.
to use it, and so they'll learn how to use Flipgrid, and Flipgrid is again amazing, and you use it, I use it.
Yeah.
But I also am doing how to add science to your school day, because it really is a struggle for people. And I made an amazing book for a takeaway,
Uh-huh.
that is included, because I just want people to have something that they can remember and go by.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Links to these sites that I was talking about, apps that I use that are free.
That's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
it's not just what we've talked about today, but going beyond that, and what you can do to add science. So yeah, and
Yeah,
I'm
that's awesome. They definitely need to check out those sessions. Like I have mine as I have a takeaway, like I have
yeah.
materials as well, because I want them to be able to remember what they got out of it and also what they can use in the future. Yeah.
Science Schoolyard, I have a blog. I
Mhm.
do post a lot of free resources there. I have a free resource library. I have lessons that I do. I show
That's
them, I'm
awesome.
doing like a Bitmoji would be a great example of what we added this year that we had never done
Yeah.
before. And I show how to use a Bitmoji and how to set a flat Mrs. I did flat Mrs. Heinrich, and I sent it with the kids so they can do little science experiments this summer with that, with their
That's adorable. Yeah.
and Flipgrid that out. So it's a matter of like finding resources out there, or
Mhm.
teachers out there that can help you. If you're struggling finding ways to add science, come on over to the scienceschoolyard.com, and there's lots of really great activities and ideas that I post all the time. Even add to Surviving K-5 Science on Facebook and join our group, because there's a lot of educators out there that are helping each other within Facebook
Yes.
families. And so
Yeah.
it's good to have people that can help you.
Absolutely. I think that's great. Make sure you send me your links and I will link to them or put them in the show notes so people can find you. So they can find you on Facebook. They can find you at your store and
Instagram. Oh my gosh, I'm
and
always
Instagram.
putting
Yeah.
something I'm doing on Instagram. Even like my friend and I going to the rock quarry, I even put that on Facebook. I'm like, or on Instagram. I'm like, you got to check this out. This is so fun.
Yeah, that's
So
cool.
Instagram. I have a Twitter, which is K5 Science Gal, instead.
Okay.
But all the other stuff is Science Schoolyard. And Instagram, I'm always putting something that I'm doing, or something that I'm
Okay.
working on, or what the kiddos are doing, so they can see this is something you can do very easily.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I'm a
great.
visual
Thank you
learner. I
so
need it for
much.
me.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was unbelievable. Thank you, Renee. You really have me
Yeah, thank
excited about
you.
this. Is there anything that you want to add that I didn't ask you?
I think anybody's takeaway today hopefully is, what am I doing now? And what could I do differently as I move forward into next year? Knowing
Mhm.
next year is going to be different for all of us, or we could all be going back, and then all of a sudden
Mhm.
we stop, and then we have to be at home
Yes.
again. We have to be
Yes.
prepared. And one of the things that we can do is give ourselves the ability to treat ourselves to a conference like Whole Teacher Eclecticon, and find out through 60 different classes that you can take, and
Mhm.
have it for a year, to be able to say, hey, this one is going to help me so I can move forward. Even if it's not in science, treat
Mhm.
yourself to doing something that helps you become a better teacher. I think that's a gift to ourselves. And so that's what I'll be doing this summer. I'm reading, I'm going to this conference, and I'm going to be watching the other conference members, because I
Oh, me
think
too.
absolutely amazing educators out there that can help us, and they're so passionate about
Yes. about their
their,
subject. Yeah,
their topic. So
I
you
know.
need to go to passionate people loving what they do to learn something that you might love to do too. So I guess that's my little
Your takeaway.
something for yourself this summer kind of tip.
Yeah, no, I think I love that. I think it's so true, and I can't wait to participate. And I'm like honored to present with you and with everyone else. And I think it's going to be such an amazing experience. And you're right. And also, I love that you can look back on it because the energy and the
Right.
passion, it's so motivating and inspiring. I was like on fire after STEMCon, so I can't wait. I can't wait for this. I think it's going to be great. Thank you so much, Renee. Thank you for coming,
Thank
and
you.
I
And
will, again, I'm going to
really
link
nice
to all of your
meeting you
stuff.
again. I
It's
appreciate
nice
it.
to meet
And
you
thank you
too.
for letting me be out there and try to help other teachers as well survive
Yeah.
K-5 science, right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. We all do. Oh, and thank you for sticking around. Wasn't that amazing? I just love it. I love talking to her about science and about hands-on and just ideas and it's just that it's exciting. And I am very excited about Whole Teacher Eclecticon. So I really hope that you will join us. I think it's going to be amazing and I would love for you to come again. If you join with me, you will get distance learning exit tickets for podcasts, using podcasts in your classroom. The link is bit.ly /WTE Debery, and I'll also link to it in the show notes. Hope to see you there. This one tired teacher is fired up and excited. I think I felt that way last week too. I've been feeling that way a lot lately. I guess maybe I'm getting enough sleep because it's summer. Until next time, sweet dreams and sleep tight.